All right, welcome back to another episode of Cameo with Nevin Webster here at 5B Broom Bar. Thank you, Reeve. He's been very hospitable, replying to my DMs. And I'm here with repeat guest. And I don't know, I'll let him decide what he's going to name this episode. I'm going to go with Arjun the Conversationalist. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
All right. So
Hi, Nevin. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's Arjun Singh, City Councillor. He reached out by tagging me on Facebook, taking me up on a challenge of coming out of the shadows to talk about Performing Arts Center, because we're seeing a lot of people putting their opinions, thoughts, ideas out into the ether through a variety of pages, profiles, comments on different news articles, and, well, they just aren't accurate. Or they just don't seem conducive to building a vibrant city, in my opinion. So I'm happy you reached out.
Well, I'm very. I think we're as a council very open about the process here, and we're very open about the fact that we support the Performing Arts Center or the Arts Center proposal.
Or the Kamloops Center for the Arts is the official title now.
Yeah, Kamloops Center for the Arts is I think the official title, and there's a society that's I think now up to about 4,000 members or something like that's are supporting it. I think it's really important that the conversation is really robust and is really kind of all sides are sort of respected and represented. So from my perspective, you would never hope or you would never expect that there would be 100% support for anything. I think
for sure.
I think you have to respect democracy and basically not as an enthusiastic supporter. I mean, I need to have respect for folks who are against it right now, or people who are against it forever, or people especially who have questions they want to get answered, because this is a big project.
Yep.
I think it's a transformationally positive project for the community in many ways. I also think it builds on something that we've had for many years, and that's a real interest people in Kamloops have towards quality of life projects. When we go to a budget meeting for our city taxes, normally it's not people saying. Well, the majority of people aren't saying, can you save me some taxes? The majority of people are saying, we'd like to have more things. And so we obviously have to balance that very carefully because, taxes are a concern and people have to pay more money, obviously.
I'm a taxpayer. I was late on paying my property taxes last year, actually. Got hit with that extra whatever.
That happens.
It happens
from time to time.
I suck at that thing. My wife makes sure I do it now.
Glad you married well.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a couple of things. I mean, with this particular project, we already are paying debt off on the term and capital buildings that we had maybe 10, 15 years ago had built, and so. What's nice now is the timing is that debt's actually being paid off, so we can keep the same level of payments for a building and help build a Performing Arts Center with no added capital costs.
There's no shock value to people's property tax bills in the end, is what you're saying. It's kind of just shifting from this project into this project.
Correct. There was one addition to that comment though, which is that. Operating costs will require more city funding. So there is a forecast to be between a $700,000 and a $300,000. Sorry, so $700,000 at the beginning, moving to $300,000 operational subsidy the city as taxpayers would provide. That translates to each individual taxpayer to quite a small amount, I think, for what the value we're getting. And also, I really think that this building will be beautiful, and it will have a lot of use for lots of different kinds of people in town. I'm hoping for a very wide range of people, and so not just for people who are, snooty lovers of the arts. It'll be for lots of other folks too. And I think we can utilize it, do things like, speaker series and pitch kuchas and TED Talks and all those kind of cool things,
so international conferences, speaker series would be amazing.
All that stuff, right? So, I mean, I think that there is a option. So, the business plan done so far through the Art Center for the Art Society and, spurred off by the great philanthropy of the Fawcett family in town, that is always comes as a conservative kind of an estimate. Mm-hmm. And I think we can probably do better in terms of how much we can utilize it and how much we, in fact, raise some people in the community. But, I think the other thing to say is that I don't want to live in a community, and I think a lot of people don't want to live in a community where the only thing we're concerned about is, roads and sewer pipes. And,
Absolutely.
We want to have a community where the community as a whole is involved with things like arts and sports and beautiful spaces and different social programs even. So we were just at the Mayor's Gala for the Arts on Saturday night, mm-hmm. And that is an event for the last 13 years, which has celebrated people who are really strong volunteers in the arts or strong, excellent performers in the arts. And there was a young lady there who now, in fact, lives in Dublin, Ireland, but she's a Kamloops, a daughter of Kamloops. Her parents live here. She comes back, I assume, quite often. And, she won an award on Emerging Artist, Marcella Bars. I don't know her. I never met her before. But I was listening to her speak around all the various things that people in this town did to support, her coming up, the orchestra she was in, the teachers that she had, and the facilities that she was able to play in even at that time. The last piece in terms of the art stuff in town right now is actually having a facility where we could actually really showcase and nurture people, not just again people who are elite, but people from all across the community who have an interest. I think about Peter Carrick. Peter Carrick,
the communist,
the Communist
character.
Party representative of many elections, and Peter's been a guy who's been active in various ways and various community issues. I remember him talking about the idea of, and I'm sure he doesn't support it. I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I shouldn't say.
Sure. You're not speaking for Peter. He's a character.
But I remember once he was saying at an event, he was saying, the Performing Arts Center shouldn't just be for people who are rich or people who have people who want to build a garage band or whatever. It should be, there should be a space for them, and I think it's really important to talk about in terms of what I'd want to see. I think in that center. So, once we have that built, I think it'll be very, very, very positive for many things. And so, there is a cost involved to that. I think it's a small individual cost for each individual taxpayer, but I think it's also something that will really help build on the success we've had in Kamloops and keep it going.
Absolutely, yeah. And I come from Cambridge, Ontario, which by and large is very similar to Kamloops in that it's blue collar, it's along a river. Everyone goes to the bigger cities for shopping, if that's their plan. But I have vivid memories of my parents taking us to the theater, taking us out of school to go to Toronto to go see Lion King. I was trying to tell my wife, my daughter deserves to have the opportunity to have Lion King come to Kamloops, which, if you've never seen, is that really sucks. I wish everyone had that opportunity. And at grade, I must have been grade 3 or something, because I was still at this one school. So at the age of grade 3, I had the opportunity to see, one of the best performances of my life. I got to see Cirque du Soleil. We're lucky Cirque du Soleil comes through Sandman Center. That's fantastic. But there's all these other things that I feel like my daughter's going to miss if she doesn't get. And to be honest, I don't have the time or interest to drive to Kelowna or Vancouver, because that's, $200 hotel, blah, 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 right? My daughter's not yet 2, but she likes to dance on command. Okay. So tell her to dance, she'll start dancing.
That's cool.
She needs a stage that she can dance on, if that should be her dream. We've got the athletic facilities for a pro team to train here. Was there this much blowback with like the tournament capital funding when that happened, or was it more understanding of like from a sports culture? Because Kamloops really is a much more sports culture mindset than it is an arts mindset as like a generality.
First of all, I think that you use the word blowback. I don't know whether there's a massive. I think people are generally speaking just having a conversation about stuff, right? And I think that ultimately we would not be doing the right thing. I think if we just sort of minimize people who have concerns or are opposed, like I said off the top. But I also think that one of the things that I've been really lucky to be sort of engaged with as once you go to the council, you have all these quite amazing opportunities to just kind of like meet people, visit different facilities, go to different events, and we have an incredible arts, sort of scene in Kamloops at a lot of different levels. So, there's when I was living in Vancouver many years ago, and I used to talk about Kamloops, I'd say, we have an amazing hockey team, we have an amazing art gallery, we have a professional theater, we have a professional symphony, a semi-professional symphony, we have the Arts Council, we have all these different artist groups in town. And so it was a matter of pride almost for me living, being in the big smoke, so to speak, and talking about, my hometown and where I was hoping to come back. So, I think that this is sort of, I think, important for a city councilor to say is you never want to like put one against the other and say, sports versus arts. But I think that it's probably arts is turn to look at facility renewal for the facilities we have. And, the Western Canada Theatre, as one example, they put on these Christmas shows that are just like blockbusters. And James McDonald from Western Canada Theatre was sharing with us, I think, 10,000 people wanting to go see Sound and Music. That's 1 in 10 people in town,
Oh, wow.
And a lot of young people were there and just enjoying and maybe being exposed to theater for the first time, or they don't get to see very often. And
I think my wife saw it.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of like opportunity for people, even if they don't get in the arts as a big hobby or a career even, just to know that it's there for people to sort of explore and be part of in town is pretty huge. You're right. We have this sort of facility gap where, Sagebrush is too small and, the arena, the Sandman, is too big. So, I've seen some acts in the Sandman, and I'm thinking, oh man, it's just too big, this place. Like, it's a sort of jazzy act, and it probably could go like 800,000 people, but like you got 800 people in the Sandman, it looks like it's freaking empty, right?
Yeah.
And 800 people won't fit in the Sagebrush, as far as I understand. And Sagebrush is getting older. We had a roof issue last year, which forced its closure for a while. So, for us to be able to, really showcase acts, and that's one of the reasons why I think economically it's good too, is because there's acts that go, say Calgary, Vancouver, Calgary, Kelowna, Vancouver, that just miss Kamloops because we don't have the right facility space. So that's attractive for me for a revenue generation opportunity to say, what is that market look like, and how can we really maximize that market, right?
Well, and that's also like one of the best stats to honestly use to prove the success of like the tournament capital branding is like the tourism growth, the hotel numbers, right? Like those are, Tourism Kamloops is doing something, right? Like they're growing every single year as far as what I can see. Mm-hmm. And I'm a tourism TRU student, right? So like, that's my background. So seeing the arts, grow into that. And if you look at all the big major sports league and stuff, all these professional athletes are getting to the arts anyways. They're all launching streetwear brands or, their cannabis line or whatever, but they're always having that artistic, right? They want to, we're at this point where personality branding is so important.
Well, and I think also, we're the regional center for a very big area of the province, right? So, if you look at, so I think Quesnel, somewhere up in the Cariboo is kind of a dividing line. Maybe it's Quesnel where you go to Prince George or Kamloops, but there's a whole Williams Lake. You look at Chase. You look at up the whole North Thompson Valley. People are coming to Kamloops for lots of things, right? They're coming for shopping, they're coming for healthcare sometimes, and they're coming for sports events, right? And they're coming sometimes for the arts, for sure. This facility gives us the opportunity to actually attract more of that and actually have more people come. So, I mean, tourism does well in town, as you're saying. I mean, I think it's been a really big success story for us in terms of especially what's called rubber tire tourism, people from around the region who drive in. I think that it can be even better. And one of the things that I think I wanted to raise here was there's some concern around parking.
Yes, the parking issue.
And so, and this is probably not everybody's point of view, but when I think about when I go to Vancouver and I park 8 blocks away, I'm like so happy. I mean, I found parking, Here, because we've had this culture in town, and also we've had probably the ability to do it for many, many years.
We've been blessed.
If people don't park right in front of a place, they get upset. Now, is it blessed or not blessed? Because when I'm not
from here, so it's considered blessed.
When I park 3-4 blocks away downtown and I walk, well, what happens? I maybe lose a bit of weight. I leave the parking for people who are elderly or people who have disabilities. So, I mean, I'm not perfect at it, but I try now not to park right in front of where I'm going, even as a choice, because, there is around the proposed location for the Arts Center, there's, 1,000 parking spaces or more that in the evening are relatively, free and available, right?
Yep.
So, if there's a Blazers game, the Blazers are kicking butt right now.
Yeah, they did. Was that Friday's game?
Yeah,
so 9-3 or something.
Well, yeah, and then they beat Vancouver last night 4-0. So
nice.
They're on a big roll. So people are going to start going to the games more and more and more, right?
Bandwagoning. It happens.
I'm the worst. I love the bandwagoning.
I need a jersey though. I don't have a Blazer Nation jersey.
We need to get them. We need to get a cameo discount on those, maybe. Eh?
I need to get some money for the cameo thing to buy anything with a discount or not.
Well, you got some 5 Bean sponsorships. Maybe a sponsorship's going to be coming up more for you. Let's hope.
Bribe me, people.
The broadcast arts. But just want to say, so you have a Blazers game and you have an arts event. I still think, and the other thing is, so I still think about parking. Now, there's a couple of things that I would say about that too, is that the Arts Center Society, Norm Daly and the good folks there, they've been thinking about, okay, well, how do we get commercial buildings to open up some of their parking spaces in the evening, right? Because they usually work 9 to 5.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that's like Uber style, like, hey, here's your app, here's an available thing, you could reserve it. Like, this is technology solving our problems.
Absolutely. And here's another cool thing I'm thinking about myself, and this is, again, just Arjun's point of view, and I'm not putting it out as a city point of view. None of this is the city point of view. This is all my point of view, so you kind of know. But the second thing is, so what if we had electric shuttle buses that were all run by electric power, and we had like parking rides. So we had one in North Hills, one in Sahali, we had one in the Save-On and Valley View.
Yep.
Yada yada yada, West Side, and we had basically Arts Center parking rides. People could come and drive to like little area where they're and then we could in a beautiful shuttle bus, which has like show tunes or opera, whatever is playing at the theater, have that kind of a pre-show,
Or you scale that back to let Divine tours or the wine tours, right? Like that's the problem where I think a lot of people think like they want private to like solve a lot of problems, but they don't realize like public and private work together.
Yeah.
Right. If public provides the building, private can supply the transportation. Like Mitchie's Delivery could has the dev team, because I know who their developers are, to create an app that would be like, okay, you're doing nothing on a Friday, you want to make $20, drive this person to their thing or whatever it be, right? Like there's lots of opportunities, but also like I'm at the point where like I want to get rid of my second vehicle and I'm getting told I'm not allowed to by multiple people.
Okay.
And I want to go down to like an e-bike.
Okay.
An electric e-bike, motorcycle style.
I've got an electric bike, and it's awesome.
Like the motorbike one. Like
no.
I want the off-road style. Like,
oh no, I've got a granddaddy city commuter bike that's like really heavy. And it looks really ugly. It never gets stolen, which is great. But But these are all new things to think about. So essentially, better for the climate. Like one of the things that I was pushing for in the beginning, right in last January, when we were talking about the art center, was it has to be a very energy efficient building, right? I think
LEED certified if you can.
Well, yeah, LEED certified is one way of doing it. It costs a bit of money to do LEED.
Yeah.
It may not be necessary to go LEED as a certification, but
it's not as cool as it once was either.
Yeah, but I think the idea is whatever it is, it's got to be the most energy efficient public building you were building, right? Because we're working in the whole new world of climate change too. So it's a exciting time. It's also a challenging time to be working on all these different things. But I think we can do lots of things at the same time.
Totally.
We're capable of doing that, and I think. I think people have concerns or things that they have questions about. Certainly, the city has a great question and answer on the city websites. You can talk to any one of your favorite councillors. You can talk to myself if you want to. The mayor gave an amazing speech on Saturday at our arts gala about why he's supporting it and why he thinks we should really get out and support it. So,
it'd be awkward if he didn't give that speech. That'd be really funny.
Well, but the thing is, it wasn't. I've heard a lot of mayors speak. I've had 3 mayors speak, and multiple times. And that was probably the best speech I've ever heard a mayor give.
Ken is a very well-spoken individual.
Well, and that was, he really upped his game. I mean, that was a really great, inspirational sort of speech. I think that the key thing is that, people who are opposed to it, we have to respect it. People who are having questions, we want to engage them in a thoughtful and respectful way. And again, you're never going to get 100%, but I think this is a really good community project. And I would really encourage people to give it real full consideration. And think about what it would mean for the future. Like you're talking about your 2-year-old daughter. I mean, there's a lot of 2-year-olds running around that could really utilize and be inspired more. So even if they don't even go in there, I mean, the inspiration, right, is a big thing.
I was reading Reddit yesterday. I reposted on my Facebook, and it was someone telling the story of how they wanted to be in dance class and how they joined cheer, and how they were forced to quit because of their parents, right? And they're still gay, but they were denied that joy of dancing, and that's the expression they wanted to do. Art is the very first form of communication humans have ever accomplished. If a grunt is not art, or if my daughter, saying her first word is not a form of art, then I don't know what art is, right?
Yeah.
It's people are so subjective. And like my dad makes chip carve, is a chip carver. So if you don't know what that is, you have a block of wood and you have a knife and you cut out basically geometric triangles and stuff to make a mosaic or collage of pointillism thing, right? And that's what he does in front of the TV when my wife's not a crafter. My mom,
get that right.
Yeah, I know, fucking Oedipus complex 1.0, but. She sits there rug hooking, right? And that's what she does. And that's like a pointillism thing, right? And people won't look at it as like you make rugs. But when you look at it, this is not a rug. This is, a beautiful, exquisite, highly detailed wool thing that you put on the wall, more like a tapestry. And that's art. And they don't do it. She doesn't make $1 off of it. She doesn't share it. I've tried to sell it to her. I have people trying to buy it off of them, and she doesn't do it, right? Like I think people
just for her own benefit, her own enjoyment,
the mental wellness of it all, right? And I think some people don't have that. Like I had a workshop growing up, right? I bugged out for the last 2 years probably because I didn't have an office or a workshop. I was stuck in a coffee shop with podcasting equipment, right? Like, like my parents taught me the value of creating stuff or to dance or to bake or whatever it be. And sports did it for me, but not the same way.
Yeah, and that's, in a community, you need to have a variety of different things to offer to people, right? So some folks, they live with the TCC, they live with the gym, they love that, right? But
how's it going, Josh?
But there's other folks who really find beauty in the arts, right? Some people will never be indoors, they'll always be enjoying our outdoors in town, right? But
diversity is hard for people to quantify.
Well, and it's also something where I think when you see it, you know it, right? And when you see how people can thrive and people can really live the best lives possible, again, that's not a question of the water pipes or the sewer pipes or the roads or the garbage collection. Those are all great, important, very, very essential things that a city provides. But a city should provide more than those things.
Yeah, I feel like people don't understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs very often, and the argument that was being online made by some anonymous individuals is like, if we don't get the performing arts center, we will now have all this money that we can borrow to solve homeless. Wait, what? How do you jump from there? That is such that makes no sense. Like logic of that is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think that it is a stain on all of us that we still have people who are unhealthy, homeless on the street. That's not a great thing at all. And I think
it's horrible.
I feel a similar impulse in terms of like, okay, well, what are we doing in that role? But believe me, we are doing what we are able to, and we're all advocating. Many people are advocating for us to do more. And I think it's not, again, we can do many things at once, right?
Yeah.
So when you and just I mean, it's a bit of a maybe a bit of stretch for some people, to kind of consider this, but when you have a art center, you're bringing in more professionals potentially. A town that might be interested in coming here who could help with some of the health issues in town or whatever, sure. Right? But I think that doesn't negate us really working hard on doing what we can to make sure people are housed, and we've done a lot of that work. So, the city has multiple departments.
Yeah.
Obviously, funding comes from various places, various aspects, but because you are funding something, it doesn't mean you cannot fund something else.
Absolutely.
And I think also the Arts Center, it's funny, when we built the TCC, and again, I mean, this is, again, something that doesn't happen very often. We built a tournament capital center, and that building itself, the portion of that building, not the old pool, but the new portion of the building, actually made money for the citizens of Kamloops for many years because it was so popular.
Nice.
People loved going there, right? And so I could foresee, and I'm not even predicting this, but I could foresee if things align, that happening with the Arts Center, right?
Well, that's the entrepreneur's risk no matter what you do. Everything's a business venture. No one wants to take the risk on, but they love when someone takes a risk on and succeed. They don't love you until you succeed, which sucks. But what I would like to try to quantify would be like, what's the mental health benefit that Kamloops has received from the TCC?
Yeah.
Right? Like the multi-millions of dollars that was probably saved from our, in our economy because, someone didn't hit their wife, blow their brains out, sexually assaulted a kid because whatever, like, I don't want to make generalizations, but I know those are realities that people's stress levels, they do extreme stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so
totally.
I would love to see, like, if 25% of Kamloops' population has received some sort of mental health benefit from TCC, what's the chance that a different 25% doesn't receive the same benefit from the arts?
Well, and I think that's I mean,
and I don't like using those extremes as examples.
No,
but
getting away from this is generally a very, very good point. I mean, when I go up at TCC and I'm exercising or I'm watching people exercise, it's a great environment to be in. I mean, for me, I really enjoy that. I think also that there's programs that TCC now actually work in conjunction with Interior Health. So, some of my family had heart surgery, and they had a program. We went to TCC. It was actually prescribed by a doctor, where they went up there and they did exercise in a program, right? And it was a particular program for folks who had heart surgeries. So, in the same token, the Arts Center, again, we got to get away at all from activity that's only just for people, certain people.
Yeah.
So if we said, okay, look. I know that there's been programs in the Arts Council that have helped people who are maybe more vulnerable in society get into the arts, learn how to paint, understand that, but get actually professional, training, right? Mm-hmm. And then they had a show. So, we should say we should never say that. We should say that the stage and the stages in the Arts Center, should be open for. People with lived experience with homelessness or coming out of homelessness to also express themselves and to learn more. So I remember when Tanji Kanchorik was our and homelessness coordinator, and they did a homeless show. A bunch of guys who are formerly homeless.
They did a gallery showing.
They did a show.
Yeah.
They did actually a play.
Gotcha.
So I think that was a great. And I went to see one of the shows, and just great to watch these guys. And really get really into it, right? So that's all in the universe of possibilities. And mental health. Certainly, there will be people who will benefit immensely in their mental health by going to an arts center. And there's people who get benefited out of all those things in terms of just the variety of things.
It's almost a branding issue of people hearing center. They're so used to like sports center ideas that it's the Rogers Center or whatever it be, and not feeling like it's like the center as in like the center of the city, the heart of the city, like a cultural hub. It's almost like you need to rebrand it as a library. Because like everyone knows what a library is a welcome place, and there's people of all.
Well, and I think we try to make the point right from the beginning that this is for every Kamloopsian, for every neighborhood in Kamloops, and also that again though, I mean, people have questions. They have the city communication staff put a lot of time, and the arts staff put a lot of time into putting a bunch of FAQs up on question and answers up on the website.
They were at the Blazers on Friday.
Oh, Blazers on Friday. I'm very interested in talking to anybody who might have some questions or concerns. I think we have to thoughtfully engage with everybody, right? And I know we're probably getting close to the end of this thing.
We got lots of time.
Okay, yeah,
we're still good.
I've got to go. Well, we'll tell us.
Depends on you.
Yeah. What time is it? Okay.
9:20.
Maybe 5-10 more minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay with you?
Yeah, you could tell me who you want to see perform at the Performing Arts Center. Like who would be like your if they showed up to Kamloops, you would fangirl harder than anything in the world.
Jan Arden.
Really?
I don't know. I have a soft spot for kind of cool prairie artists who are a little bit irreverent. But I also think that there's so many. I mean, I really
Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, maybe not.
Celine Dion. I'm just naming anyone who reminds me of Jan Ardeen at this point.
I think there's so many. I mean, just Jan Ardeen for me just came to mind. But
we need to get Rush here.
Rush should be good. I mean, I think that there's a lot of good acts that could come to Kamloops, and so you think about people. I like reggae music. I like sort of 90s rock. So picking the 90s rock bands would be awesome to see. But one of the things that really actually excites me about it was we were talking about it a bit earlier is actually having a, and again, this is Arjun's sort of mind, not anybody else's sort of thinking so yet, and maybe it will be one day, but it would be cool to have a really, over time, well-established speaker series.
Yep.
Where you actually have a conference where you bring in like a TED Talks kind of thing, but you maybe wouldn't call it that. Maybe it'd be a TEDx, but the idea would be you would
Kameo Conversations.
Yeah, there we go. And
cameos.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now that branding has gone a little far, but I think to myself, let me hurry.
Heather Monahan. I like to have her here. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
You go all the way up to Tony Robbins, but he's too much plastic surgery for me.
Well, we had back in the day. We had a conference in Kamloops. It was called BizTech back in 2000, 2001, 2002, and we brought in BizTech. So we brought in people like David Chalk and Steve Dotto and people like Todd Maffin and people who are in BC really really well known, and Canada in a way really well known technologists.
Okay.
And they would come in. And do a talk for business people around, different kinds of technology, right? So that was pretty awesome. But I think that, once people actually come to Kamloops, and that could be Tony Robbins even. I mean, people who are really, really high, well known and very, very well regarded globally. I think they just kind of like the vibe of the place, Well,
once you have the facilities, right? They might just come here and just cut a course because you have the whole, video production capabilities because of Mastermind now, right? Like, why wouldn't you just come vacation here for 2 weeks and create your new self-improvement course or whatever you want to do and enjoy, a summer vacation at the same time, because it's way cheaper here than anywhere else, right?
Well, so you think about the BC Lions. You mentioned about professional teams that come to training camp, and so we, the city does, there's a financial agreement with the BC Lions where, we pay a bit of money, we have a bit of promotion in BC Place during the season, but they come here, in recognition of that, but also in recognition of the fact that we have the facilities that they kind of need, right? So, think about all the young kids who are going out there and watching the football players and really kind of, getting into like the idea of, of sport and football and that type of thing. So similar thing. I mean, if you looked at, why does everything have to be in Vancouver or Seattle and in the region? I think there's a lot of people here who would, who have the interest to, be really engaged in something that's globally in nature that comes from Kamloops, right?
So it grinds my gears when people go on their globalist tangent, but they're totally comfortable driving to Seattle to see a football game or a baseball game. It's like, why not have them here? Like, why can't we have Vancouver Grizzlies come back? Like, that should happen in this next decade. Is we need a second NBA team in Canada, but whatever.
Well, I don't think that's going to be in Kamloops, but
it could happen. Kelly Olynyk, you got some connections. Hit us up.
But so you have a facility of a very. I was talking to the mayor about this. I mean, this should be a very, very high end, internationally sort of like. Competitive facility that we would have. So the idea would be like, as Kamloopsians, what can we think about that could almost be our own, that we could do year after year, that would be a conference or a speaker series or what have you, that really attracted, international attention. I mean, Davos, Switzerland is a small little place in Switzerland which attracts, I don't really have an attraction having all the, the richest people in the world come here. Some could come for sure, but I think, in the Kamloops spirit, you have a diversity of people, come and talk about various things and really, have a kind of a service to our, to the world.
It's like one of those big, like, dew tour, mountain tour festivals. We've seen, some peaks try with that Coors Light festival, right? And the whole EDM music dance festival thing is not a very sustainable model, but the success of these like film, like it's really the extreme sport film industries that bring the movies, the action, the pros. We can have it here, but if you could mix in the mount culture with the arts culture somehow, like there needs to be a point where TCC branding and the Performing Arts Center are just the same. Like it's just Kamloops. And I think that's the problem people have is. They need to compartmentalize so much of their life, like they need to compartmentalize, taxes and, arts and sports and, chores. And it's like, this is quality of life. It's one the same, like if I don't need to have a car because I live 5 minutes away from, everything I need, why am I spending an extra $400 when I can put that $400 in dance lessons for my daughter, right? It's that shifting of values I think we're seeing right now. We can see it across the way here with the success of Red Eye Brewing.
Amazing.
Right? Like I was there last night for a date with my wife, and just the vibe, the people, the aesthetic, the clothes, right? What they represent, right, is very different to the people that were at Denny's when I went and got pancakes after. Yeah, I went to Denny's after going to Red Eye Brewing, so don't judge me, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I go to all those places, and I mean, I think that, the diversity of experience, and again, we have one of the nice things about Kamloops is we've got something for everybody, and we've also got a diversity of experiences for, one person. So I like sometimes to go and have a good Denny's pancakes, right? I like to go have
I enjoyed it.
Very, amazing. Very high-end meal downtown or North Shore downtown. I think what was I going to say? I think we have to, and it's also that does form a bit of a foundational way of thinking about, how we can leverage, facility space that we have now to do really, really cool things, right? So I mean, I'm thinking like, the BAM Center, or I'm thinking about, film festivals in smaller places people go, like in the mountains of Colorado kind of thing, right?
Well, Mustache and Go closed down, and now it's some live venue. I don't know what Mitch is doing, but it's not a cafe anymore.
Yeah.
He's doing something weird and different, and hey, all the power to him.
Well, and that's why I think Mitch and people like that are just doing it. They really are, innovators in so many ways, right?
Risk takers.
And sorry?
Risk takers.
Right, and risk takers and also mistakers. I mean, you got to fail forward, right? So, I think it's a great thing to keep innovating and have that ethic kind of thing. And so, I know that there's a lot of neat people in this community, and there's a lot of people who are doers and movers and shakers. And then, again, going back to this, I mean, there's a lot of folks who, are thinking to themselves, well, I do have to pinch my pennies, and I do have to be concerned about X, Y. We all have to think about that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the ultimate thing is how we, coming back to the Arts Center conversation, is how we do this in a way which is both fiscally responsible, which I think we're doing.
It's how do you make Kamloops feel like they didn't buy a gym pass they never used?
Well, and also, even if here's one thing. I don't go to the symphony very often, and I should go more. But I am so proud of the fact that we have a symphony that actually, and again, when I go out of town, I talk about people talk to people about Kamloops. I'm like, I mean, I know a lot more than I used to know, but still, it's like these are the foundational things that you talk about, right?
Yeah.
You got this friendly community, which has a great community spirit, which has, big city amenities and a small town kind of vibe. It has a symphony and an art gallery and a theater, and it has a hockey team, and it has a great university, and it has all these different things. But people, and you can walk down the street and go, "Hey, Nevin, how are you, man? What's going on?"
What is the likelihood that I could get a city councillor to sit with me for coffee in under 24 hours when you're a nobody in Vancouver? That's just not happening.
Well, you're not a nobody, but I mean,
I
think
in Vancouver, I'm a nobody. In Kamloops, I'm still kind of a nobody. I'm still insignificant in this universe.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't get that even in Kelowna. I don't think I can get a city councillor to sit down with me, because you sat down with me in my early 20 episodes. You were an early supporter of the podcast. Appreciate.
Well,
that.
I mean, so. And on that, I probably should get off the podcast pretty quick here. But I will say one thing on that. I mean, we're podcasting now at City Council, and we saw our latest episode we posted it. I posted it on Facebook and SoundCloud yesterday. So I mean, these are all this thing I've done in my past as well, and doing it now in my present. And it's really neat to have people who are using media that was really traditionally reserved for folks who had, more budgets and more whatever. I mean,
that access to the Center of the Arts thing. There's access is such a misnomer. People don't understand access. They have access. They need permission. That's the difference.
And also people make permission. So I mean, in a community like this, permission isn't really the biggest thing. I mean, you can basically get it pretty easily, right?
Well, they need permission from themselves to be confident enough to release something.
Yeah.
Right? No different than me recording something with Tyson and just sitting on it. Well, I purposely decided to do that, but other people would be like, I sound stupid. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
And so congrats. How many episodes are you up to now?
Over 100.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. I took a long break as I had a whole bunch of stuff life. And I developed a lot of new techniques and ideas. And now I think Kamloops is at the point where certain things and certain demographics are easier for me to focus on.
Yep.
Right? Where a lot of people, I don't want to leave anyone behind. But at the same point, it's I want to focus on things that make me happy. Because for last year, I'm focused on a lot of things that make me unhappy. And Kamloops saw that. And now it's okay, I'm going to focus on things that make me happy. Things that are building towards a city that I think I can see my daughter living in.
Yep.
Because really, who has the most invested in this town but me? Because I have a house, a wife, a kid, and a business. I've been unemployed. I've been self-employed. I've been employed. I've done the startup life. I've done the corporate life. I've seen it all. So at this point, I like.
And how old are you?
27.
I've seen it all at 27.
I've seen it all at 27. I never plan on living past 30. So like, it's
you'll have past 30. But
I'm gonna live to 100, but that's not by choice.
Here's one of the funny things about. Well, I just want maybe we can end on this, Nevin. But I think one of the things that I find really interesting is that notion of. So there's a lady that I really have a lot of respect for, Edith Farrell, and Edith she works at Ask Wellness, volunteer at Kamloops, and we walk run together sometimes, right? So one day I said to her, Edith, you're just always so like positive. You're always so like you always give everybody such support, and you're always so like nurturing, So what's your secret, And she says, well, I just think you have to be a booster, not a buster.
Pretty
right?
straightforward and simple.
Yeah, and then there was a fellow in local government who's now retired, the former mayor of Clearwater, John Harwood. And before he retired, we were up in Clearwater for a regional district event, and he gave a little talk, and he was saying, anybody can let loose with a whole stream of critique, but it takes something more and special to actually try and be a constructive, and to look at things that are, and so thank you for doing that. I think that it's always good to talk about things that are upsetting people, but always in a way that's life-giving and not life-taking away. And I run into a lot of people in this line of work that can be quite upset about various things, but I think that we always are trying to figure out how to build a community and keep building a community and not tear things down. And so
what's the Joe
awesome.
Barry tagline? Movement is
change.
Well,
there's many.
Yeah.
I mean,
forward always. Like it's all the same mantra, right?
Well, and Joe talks about it's not about the finish line; it's about the forever line, right? And about the idea of just being supportive. I mean, I think that's also an ethic that many people have in town. So I mean, I think we have. Joe is somebody I spend a lot of time with, and I call her my big sister. One of my mentors for sure in life. Thankfully, we have a lot of people who have that ethic in town, and it is easy from time to time to get into a really negative space. And I think that, sometimes it's important to be there, but I think ultimately, there's a lot of good things going on, and I would encourage people that you get access to your city council very easily. That's one of the main reasons why I moved back to home is because I was living in Vancouver, and the idea of going to the mayor's office and having a chat was like, how could you do that, right?
Yeah, I interviewed the mayor right there.
Yeah.
Back when this was Leon Johns. This place is changing like crazy.
It's a lovely little place now. It was lovely before, but it's nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Reeve did a great job. Like, it's more open.
It is.
It's way more open. I like the aesthetic. I couldn't believe how long they took renovating it, though. I thought it was turnkey as far as I was aware. We're at 5 Beam Bar on the North Shore. Arjun has to go. I've held him far too long. I appreciate you meeting with me again there.
No, it's great. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about the Art Center and what's going on. And again, if people have any questions, I'm at Singh, ASINGH at kameo.ca or at 250-320-6532.
Yeah, and if you guys want to chat more about any civic issues, feel free to start a conversation up on the Kamloops Nexus discussion. Tag me in it or whatever be it. I think that's generally a good watering hole to have rather civil conversations. And other than that, Kamloops, please continue listening to the podcast. Check it out on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. There's a massive archive up there. All you have to do is look up Nevin Webster or Kamloops or Community, or hit me up on Facebook, and we'll get it done. Anyways, thanks for checking this out. Peace.